Oh, sorry, I was still dancing from our intro.
I love our intro.
So,
And in case you could hear us, we were whistling because we
yeah,
whistle along because it's intoxicating and you want to. You just,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, my
Um,
favorite part is I hear you whistle, so then I start whistling, and then I know when you hear me whistle, I hear you laugh, and it just makes it that much better.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Barone with Moksha Grace Coaching, and I am joined by my lovely, lovely COO, Krista Barone.
Hi, everybody. We should probably start saying fractional COO, which is what I
You're
do
not.
and who I
I'm
am.
sorry. I'm sorry. You are not fractional for me. You are the COO. You can be fractional for everyone else.
Fair enough. Hi, everybody. My name is Krista Barone. I am Michelle's daughter, but I'm a lot more than that. I am a fractional COO and ops consultant through Wicked Wisdom Consulting. I help business owners get back to doing what they love and living their purpose by taking all of the operational tasks that they don't enjoy off their plate so they can get back to doing what they love.
And I have had two of the most extraordinary days. And a lot of that is because I don't have to think about the operations of anything. I just get to do what I love. And so thank you for that.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
And I do share very nicely. So if anybody, needs a fractional COO, I am definitely not
There's
like,
no exclusive rights here.
no, no. Um, so today, Krista,
Mm-hmm.
all this month,
I loved
we,
revising the copy for this episode.
I love the fact that you didn't have to do much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we've been talking about respect all
Mm-hmm.
month,
Mm-hmm.
and we covered respecting other beings,
Mm-hmm.
other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about respecting our bodies
Mm-hmm.
and our energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it says live now. I just got a text that says live now. Are we
No,
live now?
no, we're recording.
It says live.
No, it doesn't. It says recording. You're fine. Keep going.
Okay. So just got glad to have you here to check that stuff out.
I gotcha.
So today we're talking about why should I respect you? And obviously we're not talking about you and me. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about why should people respect other people? Is respect something that is you should feel entitled to have? Is respect something that should be earned? Should respect just happen? Where are you in the how respect should be given or how it plays in? Where are you on this scale?
That's a really tricky question because it's so, I want to say it's so situationally dependent. But at the same time, I think there's always room to be respectful, regardless of what the situation is. So I think it's a tricky question all around. I think there's times where respect goes out the door and someone's pushed a line way too far. And so
Mm.
things need to be taken care of and respect is not the top priority. And maybe that's what it is depending on the situation, it depends where respect lies in the priority list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I also think that respect is very much something that we show others how they should respect us, and B, how we respect others is reflected back to us.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I think that's where I sit on the idea of respect.
Yeah. So, I think we should say that if you're here and you were drawn to this topic, there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you know someone else that's dealing with something like this, that this conversation would be good for, then definitely share that out. I feel like I don't say that enough at the beginning of our episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Please share this out, because whether this message is for you or you were meant to hear it to forward it to somebody else, this is such a hot topic, because especially, and I know that we say this a lot, but with what's happening in the world,
Yeah.
there is there is a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I got off of a call earlier, and I will say that there was some respect there, but then there was a line that was crossed,
Mm.
and I'm sure that it wasn't meant to be,
Mm-hmm.
but it was so like nonchalantly crossed
Mm-hmm.
over. And I had to like literally say something like, okay, well, that's not something that we're going to be talking about. And so I think that it's important for us to really hone in on this respect piece. So when I was writing the write up for this, we were talking about we were talking about or I was talking about being in corporate America
Mm-hmm.
and loving what I did. I mean, I would go to work, and you know this, and there would be mornings I would walk in the door and just be amazed that I was able to call that my home away from home, you know. And I was that person that was good morning to
I
everybody.
was gonna say, I feel like you were like that. I say this jokingly, that like annoying person that's like way too upbeat to be at work
Yeah.
versus everyone else that like is dreading the fact that they have to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I worked in a healthcare system, and none of this is a secret. You can find it on my LinkedIn. Uh, and I loved what I did. And it was the hospital that you were treated at.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there while you were being treated. So for me, it was just so natural.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but then something shifted,
Mm-hmm.
and I started seeing other people moving around, right? There's always people that are moving up, moving down, they're getting fast tracked. Somebody comes in later than you and they end up being higher than you. And all of a sudden, this like competitive leadership drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there was always a leadership piece inside of me. That, yeah.
No, the difference I'm going to tell you right now, it's not a leadership drive, it's a managerial drive. There's a big, big fat difference between leadership and management.
Yeah,
Leadership is natural, leadership is not climbing
right.
the ladder.
Good point.
Management is climbing the ladder.
Yeah. So I think that this competitiveness
Mm-hmm.
boiled up inside of me.
Mm-hmm. And it brought out the management in you.
And it brought out the management control side of me
Mm-hmm.
that was like power. Like, I want more.
This
And
is the second episode that you've done that on.
I know it's the
You did that yesterday on Shockingly Delightful.
it's the Tim Allen thing. It comes out. So,
Great.
and it was so interesting because it was such a subtle shift, because where it started from was a very good place. It
Mm-hmm.
was, well, if we're doing this so well here, then we should be able to do it well everywhere.
Yeah.
And if no one else can take this on, well, then I'll do it all over the place and just put me in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And I, I feel like I stopped respecting my why, my motive.
Mm-hmm.
And it the and I've talked about this book before, The Motive. Uh and reading that book really made me understand more of when things changed.
Mm-hmm.
when it wasn't about, it was always about the people for me. It always.
Absolutely. And I can be,
Right.
I can verify that.
I always wanted to be there for the patients, for the families. But there was this little tip, just a little itty bitty tip to the side of, well, how high on the ladder could I go?
Hmm.
And it was this curiosity.
Hmm.
And so, as much as I like to say curiosity doesn't kill the cat, curiosity killed that cat.
Hmm.
And so, I really believe that that's when it shifted and I stopped respecting my why. And then I allowed others to disrespect my why and try to make me become a puppet for their why.
Hmm.
That's probably the best way I've ever explained that, I think.
Well, if I may, from someone who's outside of it looking in, I don't think that you lost your why in any way. I think it was more about, like, if you were, you started out in the department that you were in as a volunteer. And as a
True.
volunteer, you probably were not afraid to push certain things and you weren't afraid to, um, you know, uh, work outside the box a little bit more. And because you weren't, there was no money involved, there's no position involved, like there was nothing quote unquote to lose. Where I think what
Mm,
happens more is that you start climbing the ladder and things start becoming strategic, or there's a strategic element.
yeah.
Not that you serve the patients like to gain something from it, but in doing your job, there was also, you had to consider what were the implications of the corporate position that you held. And also, as you climb the ladder, you have less and less touch points on the patient. And so
Right.
then you go from, you know having, not really necessarily caring about, um, staying in the lines, to the next level up where it's like, okay, I have to stay somewhat within the lines, but it's still all patient focused, to less patient focused, more staying between the lines, to primarily, okay, I have to stay within the lines and I have to be really strategic and careful about what I push and how I push it, because I don't
Mhm.
know what the fallout's going to be. And I have to really learn the
Right.
people above me, because I need to be able to figure out, like, which battles to pick and choose. And so much more becomes a chess game versus just doing the job and serving the clients, or
Yeah.
patients in this case.
I would agree with that. And that's a really important and a really good distinction
Hmm.
because the why was always the same.
Yeah.
It was just the, and I'll use,
You wouldn't have stayed around as long as you did if your heart was not in it for the right reasons.
right. Right. And my heart got trampled
Hmm.
because,
You were always operating from your heart and you never shut that down.
right. And I didn't respect myself enough
Hmm.
to stop the disrespect
Hmm.
because then I was afraid of what might happen because when you have more to lose, when
Hmm.
you're a volunteer, you're a volunteer. What are they going to do? Fire me? Like
Right.
that was like a big joke. When you're a volunteer, that's like, it's like a funny thing to say. Like, what are they going to do? Fire me?
Hmm.
Um, and then when you're advocating for others, you're advocating for them, and you're working your way up. But when you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
now there's a lot more to lose. And
Hmm.
so now I have to attempt to play this game that I
Hmm.
didn't even want to play.
And there's a lot more to lose, and there's a lot bigger ripple effect if you were to leave. And we
Right.
actually saw that firsthand and are seeing it now in the way that the climate
Oh,
has
yeah.
developed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And it was it wasn't just me that was being disrespected. It
Hmm.
was the, and me, I don't want to call it the department because it was a philosophy. And even that was starting to be disrespected to a point. It
Hmm.
was losing traction.
Hmm.
And so the bottom line here is you have to train people and teach people, lead people
Mhm.
on how to respect you by example.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so how you treat yourself is how other people are going to treat you, because it is a mirror.
Mhm.
It is a mirror effect.
Mhm. A great example that, you know, maybe even more people would relate to outside of corporate is raising kids. If
Oh yeah.
you let, your 5-year-old walk all over you, that's going to turn into a 30-year-old that still lives at home, who disrespects you, spends all your money, eats all the food in your kitchen, doesn't clean up after themselves. Like, you teach that kid how to respect you. If you allow back talking and insults and, foul language and all of these things, that's just going to progress more. Versus if you nip it in the bud from the start,
Right.
then it's a non-issue.
Right. Right.
And of course, that's easier said than done in any situation, but it's something that needs to happen.
Right. And when you do it the right way, then there's that mutual respect,
Hmm.
and then you have a relationship.
Absolutely.
You have a solid bond. So
Hmm.
whether it's with your career, with an organization, with another person, with your children,
With your clients,
with your parents,
with your parents.
it's all, and that then also gets tricky, because now the relationship has changed,
Hmm.
because the dynamic has changed,
Hmm.
and now they're acting more like the kid than you were.
Hmm.
And so, and then it spins on you.
Yeah.
But this, you can't, it goes back to that old saying, and I'm sure I'm gonna butcher it, but you'll get the point. It's, real leaders don't have to force anyone to follow them.
Oh, absolutely.
A leader is going to be followed. They
Whether they
don't have
have a
they don't
title or not.
and they don't have to be asked.
Hmm.
No, they don't have to ask anybody to follow them.
Hmm.
People are just going to go, what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I be part of your team?
Right.
And you saw me go through that too, because I had some of the best, what I would consider the best leaders. There were a couple of them that, by far, hands down,
Hmm.
I would have followed them to the end.
Yeah.
And one of them did leave, and I followed her all the way. And my gosh, she taught me so much.
Hmm.
And it was about diplomacy and respecting yourself and not allowing others to take from you and drag you down.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, the toxicity, everything goes out the window.
Hmm.
And so, if you're out there and you're dealing with something like this, it can change. And it's not that everyone around you has to change. It's about how can you change your response to the environment, to the situation, so that it can work for you.
Yeah.
And I can see that now, looking back, that there's things I could have, if I had known at that point, there were things I probably could have done differently. I don't know that the outcome would have been different, but it probably wouldn't have had as much collateral damage.
I don't think you would have made it as far as you did if you had done things differently.
Mm,
I think they would have gotten rid of you a lot sooner
mm,
because that wasn't the underlying agenda.
right.
It didn't fit the underlying agenda.
Well, and I think that, and we've talked about this before, as far as, corporate coaching, any kind of organizational coaching versus someone that you have on your side, your own coach, and what that difference is. And listen, corporate and organizational coaches are wonderful. They're great.
They
But you
have their
have
purpose.
what?
They have their purpose.
They have their purpose. They're paid by the organization. And so they're going to be coaching the employees for the organization.
It's like if I don't want to get the video flagged. Let me think of a different example. It's like if a big oat milk pays for a study about milk, yeah, the results are probably going to be in favor of big oat milk, or vice versa.
Right.
Or, other examples that are more to the times of what's happening, but I can't use the words because this video might get flagged, which is a conversation for another day.
Yes. And so there's hope. There's always hope. There's always things that you can do. But the most important thing is to remember who you are in the situation. What are your values?
Mm-hmm.
Are your values being respected by others, and firstly by you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you respecting your values?
Yeah.
Are you saying yes when everything inside of you is screaming no? That's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an issue that's going to eat you up from the inside out. And that's when it starts causing things like dis-ease and illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, very important. And that's why I always harp on knowing your values.
Mm-hmm.
Know where the line is for you that you will not cross no matter what. And that's the one thing that I can say. I never crossed the line. Matter of fact, I put my foot down and I knew that there was going to be a question of crossing a line. And I had my boxes packed because I knew I wasn't going to cross it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was ready. I had already made the choice. It was easy for me because integrity is my number one value. And so knowing your values, knowing where that line is so important, and making sure that people understand it. Not that you're going out there and being like, "Hey, this is, here's my line. I'm going to draw it in the sand for you." It's something that's more subtle, and you lead by example.
Well, and it's like what we used to say when we were running a sales team. It's a lot easier to make slight course adjustments rather than be all the way off course and now you have to come all the way back. It's about making slight course adjustments. So that way you don't have to have an uphill battle
Right.
at a certain point.
Right.
Yeah. I'd love to go ahead.
We always used to talk about, and we talked about it in healthcare. We talked about it in the sales team. There's always going to be drift. You're always going to drift a
Absolutely.
little bit away from the mundane, the everyday. There's going to be something you're going to try to jazz up. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to climb a corporate ladder or any other ladder. It's how you do it. It's remembering why you are doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's also about remembering who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get lost.
Yeah.
Don't lose yourself to the big machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we've seen that a lot lately. Not just like ourselves, but I think in the world. If you think about people out there that used to be one way and all of a sudden they're not because they got eaten up by the machine because they bought into
Mm-hmm.
or they sold out.
Yeah. So I would love to hear from you, what are some ways or how do we set the tone for respect for ourselves?
Knowing values, number one, absolutely. And being really sure of your core values.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
And how would people find out their core values?
I happen to have a whole worksheet that I mean, I go through with my clients, but I've sent it out as a freebie. Um, Join the email
Comment
list.
comment values if you want the core values worksheet.
Yeah. And I would post it. If you have an office where you work, or um, your house, whatever it is, post it so that you read your values, that you know your values. And there should only be 4 or 5. That's it. If there's more than that, that's too many. They all can be collapsed or put together, because it all comes down, bottom line, it all comes down to love and fear,
Hmm.
really. You either do things out of love or you're doing them out of fear.
Yeah.
But your values, we can do the same thing with. And so we whittle them down until we get to 4 or 5.
Hmm.
And I help my clients through that. We talk about it. And then we make sure that it's entrenched in them. They can feel it. They
Hmm.
know when they're working within their values, and they also know what it feels like to be outside of their values.
Hmm.
So that way, your body is going to send you a warning. Those emotions inside, that warning signal, you're going to get it. You're going to get it very clearly. You know, uh, yeah, back up, stop,
Yeah.
DEFCON 5. And then you have to pivot, you have to realign, and then you have to look at what's happening in your life. Where is it coming from? Where am I not respecting myself? Where am I not respecting my values? Where is it, whether it's bleeding or it's leaking, whatever you want to call it, but what do we need to do to fix it?
Hmm.
But until you acknowledge that there's a problem, you can't fix it.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know your values, then how do you know that you're disrespecting them?
Yeah. Absolutely. I would think also, some additional things would be, I mean, you mentioned it in the description for this episode, how you present yourself. If you're the type of person where every time you go out, you just put on some slides and sweatpants and an old t-shirt, it's the way humans are. You're not going to get as much respect as someone who goes out in a nice crisp suit or, get up. Which is not to say you have to wear a suit, but your presentation does matter.
Yeah,
Number one.
absolutely.
And I think also, the way that even just the way that you hold yourself, if you're slouching in your chair all the time, or your posture's poor, or you're, mumbling over yourself, you have to set yourself up for success.
How
Um,
you speak.
how you speak. I would also say the things that you allow, to be done to you, in the sense of the way that others speak to you. If you don't, address that and you allow it, it'll continue. Or if uh, you're walking into a store with your kids or your husband or whoever, and they don't open the door for you,
Right.
if you allow that, it's going to continue. I mean, these are just silly examples, but if someone says something to you at work that's disrespectful and you don't nip it in the bud, and that you're giving permission for it to continue.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, Renee, how are you? Um, yeah, I mean, it's my mom used to say, dress for the part you want,
Hmm.
not the one you have.
Hmm.
And it was funny because when I first worked at the hospital, I would go in suit pants, because I like dress pants, and I would wear dress pants. And my boss at the time was like, you don't have to be this like official. And I was like, but I want to dress for the part that I want to be respected.
Hmm.
And what was interesting is that I also knew that if I walked in and talked to a family, when I was an advocate, when I first started, if I was too overdressed and looked too much like administration or an executive, they
Hmm.
weren't going to share with me the same thing that they would if they remembered because would tell people I'm here because I was you at one point.
Mhm.
And so I I was able to walk that line and balance it
Mhm.
very well, in the sense that I could show up and be the family member sitting with the family going, I get it. I'm
Mhm.
here for you.
Mhm.
But then I could go downstairs and blend in the meeting too.
Yeah.
It was when they started teasing me that they could hear my clicking coming down the hallway because I was wearing my high heels, and then the staff started, oh, well, administration. And I saw a shift then. That was when I that was when I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute."
Mhm.
So, yeah, I can definitely, looking back, you can see these like little subtle things.
Mhm.
But still, dress for the part you want,
Yeah.
not the part you have. Act the way that you would, as if you already have whatever it is that you want.
Right.
Respect yourself and you'll have the respect you deserve.
Right. Right.
And that's really what this message is. And if you don't like how people are treating you, then there needs to be some work. What I did was do some work on myself, and the people that didn't respect me fell away. They weren't in my reality
Right.
anymore. And I didn't even have to do much for that. It just happens because we attract what we put out.
Mhm.
So if you raise up yourself, then what's coming to you is going to be at a higher level.
Oh, I just thought of another great one too. Respect for yourself also looks like respecting your time, respecting your energy. If you are supposed to end your day at a certain time, you end your day at a certain time. There's
Yep.
always going to be more work for tomorrow. If you, know that being around someone sucks your energy out, you stop hanging around them. Um, Taking care of your health, taking the time to eat, taking the time to hydrate properly, all of those things are a reflection of respecting yourself.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it tells yourself how you're treating yourself, right? If
Yeah.
you're overworking and you're coming home and you feel drained, then you got to ask, is this what you should be doing?
Yeah.
The other night I had clients until 8 o'clock. Yet I came in and had dinner and I was in the best mood because I was doing what I loved.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to that old thing of, when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
But this isn't just a conversation about work. This is about how other people are treating you and how you treat yourself is what teaches other people how to treat you.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want us to forget to do the 3 deep breaths that are the staple of moment of presence.
Yes, I agree with you. So I think what we're going to do today, is we're going to do that, but we're going to do it in a way, um, where we're going to bring in how we want to be treated. So, really thinking about what a day would look like if you went through that day, and not that the day was perfect, because I don't think that everything has to be perfect, but what would it feel like to just have the respecting yourself and having other people respect you? What would that feel like and look like? And so we're going to take those deep breaths and we're just going to do like a little vision quest. And so we take a deep breath in, we're going to hold it for 3, and then we're going to exhale very, very slowly. All right, so deep breath in, and then we hold it, and then just a slow exhale. And what are some of those feelings that you want to bring in? Deep breath in. And a slow exhale. And after a day of being respected and you respecting yourself and your boundaries, what would that feel like to lay in bed and just have had a great day? Deep breath in. If those emotions come up, feel them, and then let them drop into your heart. Good. Very good. So the bottom line is, and I will leave everybody with this. If you are not part of the email list, get on the email list. I will send you um, the values worksheet. Maybe I will schedule a masterclass and we will do a values workshop masterclass on values, getting really clear on what that is so that we can start practicing them now, getting really familiar with them now, so we can all start 2025 even stronger. And we'll go from there. Couple announcements. We have Shockingly Delightful on Wednesdays. Moment of Presence today, Thursday, noon. And then also we have Odonata Community, which is a community for group coaching. So if you've never had coaching before and you wonder what's all this hubbubaloo about, definitely join the coaching community. I made it extremely affordable. It is a subscription. You come weekly with a topic in mind, something that you want to talk about, you want to get coached on, and you get coached on it. And you can, stay for the month. You can add on months as you need to. You can take a month off, come back for a month. The community is going to be there. But we do it Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we go for about an hour. And it's just a really good community of like minded individuals that we just all have drifted a bit. And we need to come back and remember who we are. And we just want some help. The other option is if you really want to understand how to get more control over your emotions and manage your emotions so they're not managing you, then you definitely want to book a call. It's just a conversation. We talk about what's happening. If I can help you, cool. If there is someone else that I think would be better suited for you, I'm going to steer you in that direction. I'm not going to pretend that I can fix something or help you fix something that I can't. But I have a couple different options of ways for you to have some coaching. And so we can talk about what would be the best route for you. And so those are the best ways to stay in touch. Also, set up your notifications. So every time we go live, you get notified and you sign up for the newsletters. And all of the links have been scrolling because of the wonderful COO that has all of that set up. So I don't even have to think about it. It just happens.
I gotcha.
So thank you again for those of you that have joined us or those of you that are going to be watching this later. Please comment, Tell us that you're here. Tell us where you're from. Tell us if you're interested in values, comment values, and we'll make sure that we get you the value worksheet. And I look forward to seeing you next week. And we're ending Moment of Presence, Respect, I believe, next week. And I don't remember which topic, or maybe it was an overview. Nope.
It's called I brought you into this world, I can take you out. That
Yeah.
classic mom saying that we all know and love.
I'll just say it this way: I brought you into this world and I can take you out.
You've never had to say that to me, so
I have never had to say that to you.
I'm so scared.
No, no, never. All right, so that is the lineup. It's shockingly delightful. My goodness, we'll have something to talk about. It's always fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I look forward to seeing you all there. If I don't see you at Odonata later, then I will. Hopefully, we will see you next week.
I
And remember, I almost forgot. You can either have a good day or a bad day. It's all up to you. You have that choice. You get to make that choice.
mm-hmm.
So choose wisely. See you later.